everybody. This is the Palace of Forest. I'm Old June. Today we are talking about discussing leading countries. Today, there are more than 190 countries in the world, large and small, tough and soft, strong and weak, rich and poor. Since World War II, through 80 years of reshuffling and reconfiguration, we are beginning to see a clear picture. In Romance of Three Kingdoms, Cao Cao tried to test Liu Bei's ambition. One day, he invited Liu Bei for a drink, giving rise to the famous story of discussing heroes over warm wine. Now, as we have entered the 21st century, and a quarter of it has already passed, we too shall warm the wine and talk of heroes. Number 1, 1945 to 1990s. These 45 years were dominated by US-Soviet confrontation, a world split into two poles. One side, led by the United States, held high the banner of democracy, freedom, election, fairness, and justice, presenting itself as an embodiment of virtue. On the other side stood the Soviet Union, championing the communist world with slogans of class equality, socialism, and the proletarian revolution. For a time, the two sides were clearly divided and saw each other as moral enemies. And so it went for 45 years until 1990s, when the Soviet Union could no longer hold on. It collapsed and disintegrated. Over a dozen smaller countries that had been under Soviet control either joined the US camp or went their own way. It appeared that the US was left as the sole superpower, issuing commands to the world with great pride. 2. 1990 to 2010. But nothing is permanent. Just as the US believed it could enjoy eternal glory as the world's dominant force, a country across the Pacific Ocean spent 10 years building its foundations and more than 10 years nurturing its strength, emerging dramatically in 2010 as the world's second largest economy. The country is China. In 1949, Mao Zedong drove Chiang Kai-shek to Taiwan and began to transform this long-suffering ancient civilization. China adopted the modern Western ideology of communism, blended with its own traditional virtue of loyalties, filial piety, benevolence, and righteousness. What emerged was neither orthodox communism nor traditional Confucianism, but a reformed version of the communist rule. Whether you call it old wine in a new bottle or a rebranding the Chinese Communist Party had, since breaking with the Soviet Union in 1969, been forging its own path. From 1911 to 1949, China experienced over 400 conflicts, big war or small wars, various sizes. But from 1949 to 2010, a span of 60 years, there were no civil wars. Although the country endured various political campaigns, such as the 3 anti- and 5 anti-campaigns, the Great Leap Forward, and the Cultural Revolution. From the 1990s onward, the general course was one of relative peace. The Chinese people undertook many difficult projects and industries, sacrificing the environment to seize the rare opportunity for peace and make money as fast as possible. Third, 2010 to 2025, the US began to focus on Asian Pacific and formally confronted China's rise. This ancient civilization of over 4,000 years was transformed into a modern nation. With rapid advances in science and technology, China now presents itself as modern power. Its leaders talk of the 3 sovereigns and the 5 emperors, the spring and autumn period, and the warring states, while studying the 100 schools of thought and consulting the 24 histories. Now, it stands face to face with a young country, the United States, with a history of less than 300 years. What lies ahead? A few years ago, when Donald Trump visited Beijing, Xi Jinping took him on a tour of a forbidden city and opened a part of a palace never before seen by any foreign leader. I feel this was a complete waste. Trump's intellectual level is more suited to a rider in an amusement park. It's like me going to Egypt and standing in a pharaoh's tomb. Unless I have studied Egyptian history for a year or two, I don't deserve to be there. 3,000 years versus 300 years. Some said that China and the United States can still coexist peacefully, perhaps with a convergence of time and space. The old and the young may yet find a way to live together. Number 4, the US and China power struggle. Beyond the differences in political system, cultural values, historical backgrounds, and ethnic distinctions, there's another crucial issue, the happiness index of the people. There is an absent but a very important matter. In China's 24 historians, there's often talk of national power, military strength, territorial expansion, but rarely is the happiness of the people. Nation. On March 20, 2025, the United Nations released a list of the top 10 countries with the highest happiness index. Finland, Denmark, Iceland, Israel, Netherlands, Sweden, Norway, Switzerland, Luxembourg, and New Zealand. The US ranked 15th, China 64th, and Taiwan 27th. The evaluation criteria vary and inconsistent, but they mainly consider economic standards, quality of life, social support, life expectancy, freedom of choice, generosity, and the perception of corruption in governance. These are for reference only. Guess which country was the most unhappy? Afghanistan. Thank you for watching. I hope you like it. See you next time.